Hi friends, Andariki Namaste. My name is Ritvik. You are watching Architect English. Before starting the video, happy Holi to all. Friends, actually we all have one confusion, right? Like we are all following one myth. What is that myth? If our camera megapixel is more, then we will think that the picture quality is more. So that is the myth that we are following till now. But the main fact is the picture quality is not depending upon only this megapixel, but our picture quality depends upon mainly two factors other than this megapixel. One is image processing and the second one is aperture. Aperture is nothing but opening of lens. So these are the two factors in which our picture quality will be depending upon. Here the megapixel is not a matter at all. For example, if you are seeing in high range mobiles like the mobiles which are at 80,000, 90,000 like that, there you will not seeing any 100 megapixel cameras or any 200 megapixel cameras. We are seeing only like 64 megapixel or 48 megapixel cameras. But they will produce very good picture when compared to these mobiles which are below 30k having 200 megapixel or 100 megapixel. So first thing, the image processing. Image processing is done by processor. So the main core of this camera depends upon this processor. If our processor is good, then our image processing is good. If our image processing is good, then our picture quality is good. That is the thing we follow. Like for example, we are having Redmi Note 11s mobile. It is having 100 megapixel camera, but with the processor of MediaTek Helio G96. And we take another example like Redmi K20 Pro. If you observe means this Redmi K20 Pro consists only 48 megapixel camera, where in the case of this Redmi Note 11s we are having 100 megapixel camera. But main change here is this Redmi Note 11s having the processor of MediaTek Helio G96, whereas this Redmi K20 Pro having the processor of Snapdragon 845. So this makes the huge difference. The image processing will be different in Snapdragon 845 and in Helio G96. Even though it is 100 megapixel camera, the picture quality is less when compared to this Redmi K20 Pro. Let us take another example, that is Samsung Galaxy S21 and Redmi Note 8 Pro. This Redmi Note 8 Pro consists of 64 megapixel camera, while this Samsung Galaxy S21 consists of only 12 megapixel camera. But the main thing is we are getting high quality pictures in Samsung Galaxy S21 when compared to this Redmi Note 8 Pro. Why? Because image processing comes into picture. So here we are having in Redmi Note 8 Pro we are having MediaTek Helio G90 processor, whereas in our Samsung Galaxy S21 we are having Exynos 2100 processor. So this makes the huge difference between the picture qualities in the mobile phones. Here we want to remember one thing, that megapixel doesn't matter at all. For example, in DSLRs we are seeing cameras which are having only 12 megapixel, 30 megapixel. But those will be getting very high quality when compared to our normal phones like which are having 64 megapixel or 100 megapixel. This is the image processing. If our processor is good, image processing is good. If the image processing is good, the picture quality is good. So this is what up to the image processing. And the next factor is aperture. Aperture is nothing but the opening of the lens. For example, if you are having the aperture of 1.89, like in the specifications we are seeing the camera has aperture of 1.89, and in some mobiles we are seeing the camera has aperture of 1.5. So in which type of camera the image quality is good? The image quality is good in the aperture of 1.5 when compared to this 1.89, because if the aperture 1.5 has more opening of lens when compared to this aperture 1.89. So here we want to note one thing, that if the aperture goes decreasing, then the opening will be more. Decreasing means f by 1.8, f by 1.7, f by 1.6, like that. If it goes decreasing, then lens opening will be more. If the lens opening will be more light can enter into our camera. This mainly helps us in night situations, like when there is no light. So that time if our lens opening is more, then it will allow to enter more light in the camera, into the camera. Whereas if you are having less opening of lens means, then it will allow only less amount of light into the camera. So this makes the huge difference while coming to the contrast or brightness or saturation in the picture. So here what we should keep in mind, that we should not blindly trust the megapixel which they are providing in our specifications. That megapixels is just a marketing term for the mobile companies to sell their products more effectively. Even though this megapixel plays some role in the details of the image, but it is not that much important. The only important term is the image processing and then the aperture. We should see the aperture main. For example, in Samsung flagship mobiles, we are having aperture like 1.7 or 1.5. Whereas in other mobiles, we are observing the aperture as 1.79 or 1.8 aperture. So this is what up to this video. Finally, we remember that we should not blindly trust the megapixel which they are providing in our specifications. We should see the image processing of the mobile and we should see the aperture of the camera which they are having.